Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another Future State Fool's Gold review. And in this Future State I'm going to be reviewing Batman, Superman and also Dark Detective. Batman, Superman being the first issue and Dark Detective being the second issue by Tamaki, and of course a secondary story which covers Red Hood. So let's get started. As you can see, I will be rating these in regards to the cover, art and story. The rating is linked to how much these comics are worth and how much I think the comics are actually worth. So as you can see, one is $3.99, which is about $7.15 Australian, and the other one is $5.99, which is about $10.75 Australian. And I'll be letting you know how much I think each story is worth once I reach the total of the story. Okay, starting off with the first one, Batman Superman issue 1 by Gene Yuang. This cover, did it really work with the story and internally as well? Surprisingly, it didn't. It wasn't the best recommendation, let alone best choice. I don't know if this was Gene's idea for this or the artist's idea for this, because it's not really working well with what happens in the story. It does have a connection to what does happen in the story, but it's not an accurate depiction. To which I gave the cover 6 out of 10, to which I believe it was worth $1.25. Now to move into the internal art. This is some art at the beginning of the story, which was really nice, and this did seem to carry over within each and every page, so it was consistent. I'll show you some towards the middle now. This is some of the art towards the middle. I actually like what the artist did here in regards to Superman. Of course, he's got his six-pack showing, but that's neither here or there, and plus one of the enemies in visual proximity. Now to move towards the end of the story. And as you can see, this is why I sort of enjoyed the consistency of the art in this, and I gave it an overall 7 out of 10. But what about the story? Where do we go with the story? Now, what did we get in here within the story? Let's move to the locations. We have got like the main Gotham City. We've of course got Metropolis, and the return to old Gotham, which is beneath modern day Gotham. And it sort of gave the feel as if working into the Batman Beyond universe. And I thought that was really clever that the writer brought this in. Some of the cast, or some of the people that make the cast, was actually a professor. Of course, we had Superman and Batman, and someone by the name of Mr. Toad, which I thought was really clever. But of course, you don't see the twist that happens in the end of the story, to which I'm not going to give it away, especially to someone who hasn't read it. And this is why I gave the story a 6 out of 10, to which I believe it was worth $1.25, giving a total of $4. Now it's time to move on to Dark Detective, to which it has 2 stories, and I'll try to get through these 2 as quick as possible. As it's time to move on to the Dark Detective, I want to give a good accreditation here, as I really think this front cover really worked for the story. And I really enjoyed what Tamaki did here, especially in regards to choice. It's like she went through the story panels and found something that which directly worked with the story, and this did exactly that. with this story and also with the cover for this story. I gave the cover rating of 8 out of 10, to which I believe the cover is worth $1.75. I'll now show some of the internal art in regards to the first story, around the beginning and the middle. Now this is some of the art around the beginning of the story. And of course we've got Batman appearing. This is some of the art around the beginning of the story. As you can see, it does cover Batman in the shadows there, really nice. And of course it points out where we are. Good job. I must admit, good job done here in regards to both the artist and the storyteller. Now this is some of the art around roughly the middle of the story. And as you can see, Bruce Wayne has had to go into hiding and he's at a conspiracy believer's place. And yes, as you know it, Bruce has to begin in creating his new Bat Den in this situation. And I think that this is really good. It puts Bruce in a bit of a rough situation to which he has to deal with the circumstances. And it really worked well with the story. To which I also gave the art 7 out of 10, to which I believe it was worth $1.50. I'll now move in regards to the story. Now, in the story, of course, we turn up in Gotham. Some of the cast that we encounter, this is at the Gotham Port, and also some of the other places where Bruce also goes to inspect. Places involved, especially in big tech. This cast is made up, of course, of Batman, the Peacekeeper, who's still doing their job behind the scenes, the Cybers, who are basically robots with an agenda to take out anyone that's either one, committing a crime, suspected of a crime. It might as well be Minority Report, but with robots in charge. And of course, Bruce Wayne doing the best he can out of the situation. I do feel that this story did improve a little bit more. I felt like it grounded Bruce in this better compared to the last issue. And this is where I gave the story rating. Where last time the story rating was a little bit lower, this time I graded it a little bit higher and gave it a 6 out of 10, to which I believe the story was worth, of course, $1.25. I'll now move into the second story, to which covers Red Hood. Now I'll jump directly in some of the art which is in the story before I give the rating for the art and the story. And this is one of the incredible scenes that was actually put in by the artist, and it also carried over like from the previous page, and I really enjoyed that. And of course you meet Red Hood here with one of his arch rivals in his work with the Magistrate. But you can certainly see one thing here is that Red Hood has actually grown quite a bit, and he has learnt not to kill people suspected of a mask crime. Where his rival, though, will, in essence, kill without finding any answers. I'll now move to a bit of art towards the end of the story. And this is some of the art which is towards the end of the story. I really enjoyed what the artist did here, and it really seemed to carry through, like from the beginning to the end. It knew when to make it rough, it knew when to sort of like indicate motion lines. as you saw earlier, and when things should be practically at a standstill. And I liked what was done here, and it really helped develop the story. To which I gave the art 7 out of 10, to which I believe it was worth $1.50. The story, though, of course, this takes place in Gotham, but we don't know whereabouts in Gotham. The cast was made up of Ravager, of course, one of the peacekeepers at the Magistrate headquarters. Ravager, who also goes out of their way and harms someone that Red Hood was after. I heard some people mention that what Ravager did with the sword shouldn't have been technically possible, but I'm wondering if the sword that she's actually carrying is actually Deathstroke's sword, to which it would make it possible for her to do such a cut. And I think that's something that some people are actually neglecting. And as you can see, Red Hood finally reaches where the lead takes him in regards to the tech, and of course he's caught in a bit of a situation. I'm not going to indicate what the situation is. You'll have to read the story for yourself. And I really enjoyed this story, so I gave this story a 7 out of 10, to which I also believe it was worth $1.50, giving the story a total of $3. As for the Dark Detective story, the second one, its overall total was $4.50. Well, if you've made it to the end of the video, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. As you can see, I'm also on the road to 200 subscribers. If you'd like to make that possible, well, you know what to do. And who knows, you might know someone who would be interested in seeing reviews like this, and you might want to share it so that they can subscribe to the channel. But whether you choose to subscribe to or not, you have an awesome day. And until then, let's keep it colourful. If you've now made it to the end of this video, you are awesome.